very deep satsang, but I'll try to be quick. So it was very interesting when Seema auntie mentioned about dinosaur and some wild animals because yesterday I received a dream darshan. I was in a uh, I was in a mandir, Guruji's mandir, uh, in Tracy, which Alkaji has been. So I was doing seva there for the satsang, and there was a dinosaur right across the temple in a mountain. There were many wild animals. There was a wolf who tried to attack us, but Guruji ने सारा जैसे उसको eliminate कर लिया. And we were very scared from that wild animal, but we were protected. So it was very interesting. Seema ji also mentioned the dinosaur and the wild animal, which I also saw yesterday. So I'll share one satsang which is about. So I know we're all talking about COVID, but I'll also talk something about COVID, something that has been my experience uh, last year. So what happened last year when the COVID began, um, around March, early on, I started to get very sick. So I was feeling breathless. I was not able to breathe well, and I started to get very sick. तो हुआ क्या कि 4-5 दिन हो गए. I was just taking symptomatic relief, but things were not improving. So one night, इतना ज़्यादा हालत बुरी हो गई that I was not able to breathe. So I thought, Guruji, अब तो सुबह ER जाएंगे. I'll go to the ER in the morning if the problem still persists. So now what happened, कि, so every night before sleeping, like we all have our own style of praying to Guruji. So I would do some ardas, Sarvada Bala. So that night I was like, Guruji, it's a very interesting situation I am in right now. I can either pray for myself. I'm in a tricky situation. I can't breathe. I can either pray for myself or I can pray for Sarvada Bala. You know, it was a binary, this or this. So I had to make a choice. So I said, Guruji, let me pray for Sarvada Bala. अपने लिए क्या pray करना, और आपसे क्या मांगना. So I prayed for Sarvada Bala that night. I went to sleep, thankfully. Very difficult to sleep that night, but I went to sleep. That same night, I received a darshan. Guruji is sitting on my bed right next to me, and Guruji is telling me कि कुछ नहीं होया, सब ठीक है, थोड़ा सा viral load है बस. So some of you who are in the medical or the scientific community probably know that viral load is the number of viral particles that your immune system has to fight. That's called the viral load. So Guruji said, कुछ नहीं होया, सब ठीक है, थोड़ा सा viral load है बस. And when he said that, I saw like some of my white blood cells in the vision. So now what happened? I woke up absolutely asymptomatic, completely asymptomatic, without a single symptom. I could breathe perfectly, no coughing, nothing, right that same morning. Uh, and in the same night, I also received a darshan in which I was told a very specific technique for me how to do ardas, right, for COVID, uh, which I won't share because it's something very personal to me. But the point being here that see, Sarvada Bhale mein sab kuch ho jata hai. So when we worship for Sarvada Bhala instead of ourselves, our family, our community, even our country, uh, then we are limiting the scope. But when we do Sarvada Bhala, that includes everybody. Now, a few months thereafter, so firstly, Shukrana Guruji, how he protected my life. It's such a beautiful lesson also. So, few months thereafter, my mama in Delhi, he got very sick, extremely sick of COVID, and he had diabetes and a bit overweight. So he, went to the ER, got so worried, he just ran back home, very, very sick. So now what happened? अब वही गुरु जी की रजा में राजी रहना, राइट, कि जो उनको मर्जी है, राइट, हम कुछ स्पेसिफिक क्यों मांगे गुरु जी से. सो आई वाज नॉट प्रेइंग फॉर माय मामा, and my everybody was so worried. but I was not asking Guruji for anything. लेकिन now some would think, you know, कि कैसा है बंदा है, अपने फैमिली के लिए भी कोई प्रे नहीं करता, right? So I was like, कि गुरुजी को जो मर्जी हो, and he was very sick. So then what happened very interestingly, my mama, at the peak of his illness, he came in my dream and he's telling me, Anshuman, तू मेरे लिए pray क्यों नहीं करता? Why are you not praying for me? Uh, so I tell him in the dream that, you know what? And then he asked me, please tell me how to pray for me and my own family, because his whole family was sick of COVID. So I tell him कि, you know, कि if you pray for the sarbat, you are part of the sarbat, your family is part of the sarbat. When you pray for the sarbat, when the whole sarbat gets blessed, your family is also gets blessed by that. So I told him this in the dream, but I didn't tell all these things in person because, soul to soul, right? Guruji sab kar lenge. So, but now what happened right after that dream, he immediately started improving. And I also started doing Sarvat Dabala prayers that night onwards. And we all have to do that. So I think I just want to share this message based on my experience that देखो दुनिया में आग तो शुरू से लगी हुई है, राइट? कभी कुछ कभी कुछ कभी कुछ, कभी हमारे लिए, कभी किसी और के लिए. But in my experience, in my learning, when we just do Sarvada Bhala with all of our intention, all of our depth, all of our bhakti, everything we have, then that takes care of everything. And like Alka ji said so beautifully, when we love Guruji, when we pray for Guruji, when we do a das for Guruji, it is a very powerful thing. And I will very quickly share one experience. So last few months ago, one satsang I decided, Guruji, आपके लिए pray करूँगा. So I went to the satsang and so instead of sort of receiving from Guruji, I was giving light or love to Guruji. So it was the opposite direction. It was very funny, but I was like, Guruji, let me give it to you instead of receiving from you. So I did that for a few satsangs, non-stop. Few days later, I get a dream in which Guruji says, कि अंशुमन तो आजकल कुछ मांगता ही नहीं अपने लिए. अंशुमन तो आजकल कुछ मांगता ही नहीं है, like in a very loving way, जैसे कि कोई, like a grandmother would say कि कुछ मांगता ही नहीं आजकल तो. So it was so sweet, right? Like he knows when we are giving or when we are asking, when we are, so there's a lot of power in us giving, us praying for Guru, even though he is infinite, but Guru जी अभी भी अपने ऊपर लेते हैं, अभी भी वो तपस्या करते हैं, अभी भी वो पाठ कहीं कर रहे होंगे, so we should contribute as best as we can. Like वो एक रामायण में कहानी है कि वो ब्रिज बन रहा होता है लंका के लिए एंड गिलहरी होती है, वो सर्व करना चाहती है, बट द होल monkey सेना starts laughing कि तुम तो इतने छोटे हो, तुम क्या हेल्प करोगे. So the small गिलहरी takes a little bit of a stone at his or her size, starts putting in the setu, right, in the bridge. Ramji got so happy. He said, wow, that's so beautiful. So, जितनी क्षमता है उससे we should contribute. जितने हम हैं, जितनी हमारी time मिलता है, जितनी हमारी intention है, we should do everything we can at this time of the world. And not just for our own families, but for Sarvat, for Guruji. So I just want to share that. Thank you very much. Jai
Thank
Guruji.